Mr. Speaker, allow me to refer to my notes because there's so many things happening in housing and in Roseau Central. I want to make sure that I capture every single thing.
Yeah, permission granted. You may proceed.
Thank you. I'll tell you. I'll let you know. I would like to offer warm greetings to the esteemed members of this honorable house, as well as the exceptional individuals who make up the dedicated and supportive constituency of Roseau Central. And I'm aware that many of them are listening today. And they ask, what's in it for me? So I encourage all of you to remain engaged because there is something from everyone in this 1.4 billion budget. Today, I want to express my endorsement on the budget put forth in this House by the Minister of Finance, Honorable Irvin McIntyre. The budget proposal reflects a comprehensive report by highlighting our gains and forging ahead with continued development, all in an effort to elevate the lives of every citizen in Dominica. Mr. Speaker, I stand before you not just as a representative of the government, but as a champion for progress, resilience, and opportunities in housing and urban development. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development is at the forefront of unfolding the dynamic Dominica. And I am proud to say that we have had a remarkable year. We are making great strides. However, I must admit that climate change and the erratic weather patterns has kept us on our toes. But I want to assure the public that as our weather patterns evolve, so too we are adapting. And we shall remain steadfast in building new homes and implementing new resilient methods to mitigate against climate change. Our aim, Mr. Speaker, is to become the first climate resilient country. And we are consistently assessing our housing stock, making recommendations when necessary in order to make resilience a Dominican way of life. In fact, as we currently speak, we have been in collaboration with the World Bank and Build Change, and there is an ongoing survey which is going across the country in which technical professionals are sent out and they're examining the resilience of our homes, our construction practices, of diverse houses, and to establish a modernized standard for construction, retrofitting, and upkeep. Mr. Speaker, in what is forecasted to be an active hurricane season, we are doing everything that we can in the ministry to fast-track processes for those who desire to build and enforce as well the resilient building codes. At this moment, Mr. Speaker, there are 10 housing sites that are currently under construction in Dominica. And these developments will offer a total of 245 units. Essentially, we are building resilient settlements across Dominica. We have housing sites that are nearing completion in the North Penville, in Vacas and Paybush, Woodford Hill as well, coming down on the west coast, Kenfield East, and Trafalgar in the interior. Then we get to Point Michelle and Scottsdale and Grand Bay. And then we just commenced our 10th site, Mr. Speaker. You know, a couple months ago, I called my dear colleague, Honorable Shakira, and I said that, you know what? Roseau South must be the next major housing in Dominica. Because she has been very patient, Mr. Speaker. And I know that her constituents have been waiting eagerly. And the time has come for Roseau South to benefit from our housing revolution. I am pleased to announce that in the span of just a couple months and a quick response from MMC, we now have a massive housing site in Egliston. The foundations have been laid, the walls are coming up. There are 2 levels of individual homes, garden-style apartments with stunning picturesque views of the Caribbean Sea. Fort Young Hotel, you can see the lights in Roseau as well, Mr. Speaker. You know, it's a wonderful site. And I must say, you know, they say we have to save the best for last. Well, every last one keeps getting better and better. And I want to tell the member of the Roseau South constituency that the value of property in your area, in that area, is going to significantly increase with the state-of-the-art project. It is going to be a truly magnificent asset, Mr. Speaker. So far, we have injected about 4.5 million into these homes. And that does not even include the great walls of Eggleston that has already been built in the same area, yes. Additionally, we also have plans and have already identified location for more housing in St. Joseph, in Collier, in Tebow, in Castle Bruce, and Roseau Central, Mr. Speaker. The proof is in the pudding, Mr. Speaker. We don't give false promises and don't follow up, Mr. Speaker. We deliver. We remain committed to providing housing across Dominica where no man is left behind. The Bible recognizes that affordable housing is a basic human right. So when they're busy walking, we're building. When they're talking, we're tiling. And when they're watching, we're stepping it up a notch, Mr. Speaker. And while they do nothing, we're busy doing something. Again this year, Mr. Speaker, I'm being told by hurricane shelter managers that just now they're going to be irrelevant because they see a drastic decrease in the number of individuals who are seeking refuge during this hurricane season. You know why that is, Mr. Speaker? This is because every home that we build now is in fact a private, lifelong hurricane shelter. Mr. Speaker, with the efforts of MMC and the major other construction companies, we've seen tangible outcomes in Woodford Hill and Eggleston, and it speaks volumes to our progress. With the Prime Minister's visionary approach to build back better and to harness our local skills, we have employed and empowered hundreds of local contractors across Dominica. Mr. Speaker, a construction worker who could only build a step in 2020 now has a construction expertise, experience, and knowledge to now present himself as a qualified contractor. Hundreds of families across Dominica have benefited from our housing boom, not just in skills development, but socioeconomic gains. And of course, the receipt of the greatest asset called a home. Mr. Speaker, one of our most criticized projects in housing happens to be our most successful projects. The opposition forces are the ones who are criticizing this project. Mr. Speaker, this is the Housing Recovery Project. This owner-driven implementation approach is one of the first of its kind globally that the World Bank has funded, serving as a model for other countries. And under this program, modern concrete homes are being built free of charge on the property of the owner. Mr. Speaker, where else would a government give such a massive asset to a family? And that is because the Roosevelt-Skerrit-led administration cares about the well-being and the growth of its citizens. And I want to tell them that we have achieved remarkable milestones. We had 320 construction starts, 253 practical completions, 231 homes were handed over. The HRP project, Mr. Speaker, stands as a beacon of hope because it is in this project we ended up assisting 147 households in regularizing their land tenure status. This is a major achievement, Mr. Speaker. Additionally, I hope they're listening, because the ministry anticipates awarding 108 contracts to construct homes, including those in the East Coast relocation and as well as the original Housing Recovery Project. This will be the largest number of awards ever undertaken during this time frame, and so we are gearing up for that, Mr. Speaker. We recently had an increase in the construction grant ceiling from 140,000 to 150,000. And so we expect contractors to be more financially empowered and to take up on larger and more ambitious projects. And I must say that I have to commend the HRP staff under the dictatorship of Dr. Genora Joseph, who confront the challenges head on, fueled by the belief that no obstacle is insurmountable. I must commend Dr. Joseph. I enjoy collaborating with people like that because where obstacles do not impede our progress and no hiccup will stop our work. Mr. Speaker, we are about tangible improvements in the lives of our citizens. Families have better homes, communities will see enhanced facilities, they will be more resilient and prepared for the future and the climate. The increase in the construction grant ceiling will spur innovation, attract new investment, and most importantly, create a ripple effect of prosperity across greater sectors. Mr. Speaker, we give our best. And we give the gift of a safe, resilient home. And that is because that is how we ourselves would want to live. It's exactly how we would want our children to live. To be free from anxiety and fear of survival during a storm. And Mr. Speaker, I just had my summer camp and I asked the children, how did you pan out during Tropical Storm Beryl? And they said to me, well, we ate all our snacks and we fell asleep. And that is what we want to hear from every elderly person, every family, every child in Dominica, that whether it is a hurricane or a storm, you can sleep soundly and you don't have to worry about your roof being removed, Mr. Speaker, and question your survival. And Mr. Speaker, that is why I say, that day will come where every single citizen across the hills and valleys of Dominica will stand up with no fear to a Cat 5 hurricane, untouched, unmoved, and unaffected. In the heart of the Kalinago territory, our commitment to resilience shines bright. 36 homes handed over and 6 more under construction. We have been a bit delayed due to the structure of the land tenure issue in the Kalinago territory and access to the site of the beneficiaries. But with the help of the NAO, we rise above that and we are making things happen, Mr. Speaker. And so in the coming year, in collaboration with the ministry responsible for Kalinago upliftment, as well as the Kalinago Council, my ministry will explore the creation of both a land use development plan and a cadastral plan for the Kalinago territory. Mr. Speaker, I see more development before me. Every year, I see more skilled tradesmen climbing the career ladder. I see more economic growth, and I see jobs, and jobs, and jobs, and more jobs in this sector, Mr. Speaker. For example, when I speak to the contractors, when I go on site, I always have conversations with the contractors. They have an average of 5 to 6 workers, some of them as much as 10 workers on the site. And if you do the math on these new contracts that are to come, when you calculate, that is a minimum of 400, maybe to a maximum of 800 workers. And Mr. Speaker, that is not taking into consideration the ladies who will come on site to cook for the men and offer lunch, to sell their snacks, and the outsourcing of concrete firms to come and pour their concrete for them, Mr. Speaker. I've been on site and I've seen teenagers helping their parents to tile and learning how to tile, and how to paint, Mr. Speaker. This is a skill that they will have for life. And it's an opportunity for them to learn and make a business out of this on the side when they grow older and help them to earn a living, Mr. Speaker. In the last year, we successfully handed over 136 homes, and we are looking to complete and hand over 349 homes. If you do the math again, Mr. Speaker, where you'd say you have an average of 3 people per household, this means you'd have about 1,500 people living in brand new homes from last year, and this year coming in resilient, hurricane-proof homes in Dominica. This is a working government that responds to the needs of its people. Forging ahead, we have successfully regularized the squatter status of many families across the country. And we are gearing up to address the long-standing issue of the Melvin Hall squatter subdivision and Layu Valley. And Mr. Speaker, we are ensuring that there are lots of people who have been squatting on government land for 10, even 20 years. And now they'll be given the opportunity to purchase this land at a subsidized rate, enabling them to own land, own a piece of Dominica, and to build generational wealth with their children. Looking ahead, we also plan to construct 108, including the East Coast relocation, 8 homes under the Calinago Post-Hurricane Maria project, and the start of 2 additional homes in the Marigot constituency. And speaking of Marigot, Mr. Speaker, you know, after the member for Marigot spoke today, I gave 2 claps, only 2 claps. Because it's not that I support the proposals that he posed to the House today, but the fact that he never mentioned the housing needs of his people. Not even in a negative way that they usually do, Mr. Speaker. And so that means that I am doing a remarkable job, so I give myself 2 claps. But no, he didn't mention housing. That means things good. Things good. Things working out. Because they like to complain. They like to highlight the negative things. Once it's negative, they want to talk about it. If it's positive, they don't want to mention it. But it begs me to wonder, Mr. Speaker, does he really care about the people of Marigot? Because not once did he make an appeal for housing for his people. And I know that the most pressing issue for the people of the Marigot constituency is housing. The Prime Minister gave him extra time to be able to speak on behalf of his people, Mr. Speaker, in the highest court of the land. And not one time did you ask for one house for somebody in your constituency. But instead, you want a house where men can visit prostitutes. You ask for a brothel. But you ask for a brothel. And this is his 2nd time he's coming to this house and asking for a brothel. Asking for homes. But he's serious about it because this is 2nd time he's mentioning it. He's asking for this, Mr. Speaker. He's not asking for a house. He's asking for cosmetic surgery here. And I'm assuming that when you speak of cosmetic surgery and brothels, it must be the Brazilian butt lifts and the breast augmentation, because that's what aligns with brothels. I don't know where the member of Marigot was really going with this. At one point, I thought he would maybe start offering Rasta recovery baths for the BBLs. That is where his conversation was going. But, Mr. Speaker, this is a man. This is a man who said today that the man is the head of the home. I agree. Yes, that is a fact. The member is a man. He's a father. He's a leader of the Commonwealth of Marigot. And this is what he proposes for the young women of Marigot to get involved in, to prostitutes in a brothel. Mr. Speaker, it is clear that he's more interested in fulfilling his own personal desires and not really addressing the core issues of the people who put him in this place to represent them. He says woman time, like it is a bad thing. Oh, too many PSs are women and we're in high positions. Yes, indeed, it is woman time. Maybe it is a woman that is needed to be able to champion the cause for the people of Marigot. So I'm willing to offer my help, Mr. Speaker. I can help put the member of Marigot to work. We have lots of work in the Ministry of Housing. In fact, I can put you, I came here, Mr. Speaker, a year ago, appealing to all members here to tap into this program of we're providing free hurricane ties in abundance in the Ministry of Housing, Mr. Speaker. None of them tapped into this program, not one of them. I can give you a pallet of hurricane ties and screws and nails. You can do your whole village, member for Marigot. You can prevent a whole roof from flying away, Mr. Speaker, in this wind. So, Mr. Speaker, I urge, I urge him to do some constructive things. Community ministry, we have work to do. We have plenty things to do. You can do a whole village. Instead of doing nothing, we can do something. So let us do something constructive. Mr. Speaker, we recently conducted tracer exercises in the Kulibistri area, focusing on families whose homes were either completely destroyed or who face vulnerability to return. The government supported the relocation of some families to Platmapere, while a few families were relocated to Grand Savan. And now we have 3 remaining families that we have to take care of. Additionally, we are advancing proposals for new residential subdivisions at Cabana View in Wesley, near the international airport, which is formerly known as Jumbi Peace. Also Castle Bruce and Warner, with a total of 173 lots that will be available for sale. Mr. Speaker, as promised, we are safeguarding the lives of the East Coast relocation and the resettlement of Petit Soufriere, Good Hope, and Saint-Sauveur, particularly after the trough in 2022. Mr. Speaker, we often I don't know why people in Dominica like to compare Dominica to the USA and other first world countries. And they often like to compare our housing programs to those like the US. But it's essential to understand the unique economic, historical, and social context that shape each nation's approach. So allow me to explain the approach in Dominica that we have that is both appropriate and beneficial. In the US, for example, Mr. Speaker, social housing varies across quality, different states and cities. And so their system includes subsidizing rents in privately owned homes and free apartment-style housing in what is sometimes called the projects. However, they regularly reassess the eligibility for social housing, which can lead to serious mental stress. So yes, you live in free housing, but imagine the anxiety you face every year because the government have to come and reassess your housing and see, and you could face the news of being disqualified for social housing, and you could be kicked out of your home just because maybe your financial situation increases slightly, even though you still cannot afford market rate rent. In some countries, Mr. Speaker, in the UK, often the rate that is paid for subsidized rent is against their income. And it's interesting to note that in first world countries, they're manufacturing construction materials. We don't manufacture construction materials here. They can print their own currency, Mr. Speaker, yet still such strict regulations are in place for social housing. If they have to evict someone due to a waiting list of more needy individuals, it speaks volumes to their circumstances. So rather than criticizing our housing program that has been working for our people, other islands are trying to actually emulate what we are doing here. So that is why we have to appreciate what our neighbors get, our friends, our families, our members, our parents, that they can live in greater comfort, assured that this government will never force them out of their homes. We will never put them on the streets, Mr. Speaker. My friends, the grass is not always greener on the other side. But we must thank God for small mercies. Because if the government is providing relief to your grandmother, for example, by exempting her from paying rent, and all she has to worry about is just her utility bills, say thank God for these privileges, because it is a blessing. Mr. Speaker, this government's housing revolution agenda has a strong biblical foundation. Jeremiah 29 says, build houses and settle down. Plant gardens and eat what you grow in them. Marry and have children. That is why we will never stop helping to rebuild. We will never stop providing free housing, affordable housing for our people. And now, Mr. Speaker, we are targeting our working class to give them a hand up by providing land at a subsidized rate with low cost building options, and pre-approved mortgage rates from the banks, which I will speak about later, Mr. Speaker. In March, my ministry recognized and hosted the first ever Housing Resilience Financing Symposium. And this event brought together about 80 stakeholders of various sectors, highlighting our efforts to building a resilient housing sector. It's been a great challenge in the housing agenda as many of our families lack formal land ownership documents and a significant number live in highly exposed areas. And so in response to this symposium, we continue to assist Dominicans to obtain formal land ownership documents, and we'll also increase awareness of the importance of affordable home insurance. Our plans for the next year include training programs for construction professionals. We want to build capacity and to equip our tradesmen with the skills and to implement modern resilient practices. We're at a critical time in our nation's development. And as we face climate change, we must not only prepare ourselves for severe hurricanes, but for flooding, earthquakes, heat waves, droughts, intense wildfires, Mr. Speaker, and other natural disasters that we could potentially face. But together with our strategic partnership, we will build a stronger and more resilient Dominica. Our home renovation and sanitation program embodies the Labour Party's commitment to better living. And through the efforts of the Prime Minister, I am pleased to announce that we are gearing up to renovate and build on privately owned land about 100 homes across Dominica. I'm relieved, Mr. Speaker, because I have quite, and many of my colleagues have been waiting because we all have quite a few requests for home renovations. But this time, Mr. Speaker, we're going big. God is good. A project delayed is not a project denied. We have successfully eradicated our pit latrines, while some countries, other Caribbean countries, are now starting this program, Mr. Speaker. Now they're starting to want to eradicate pit latrines. But I want to say that in the event that we have missed anybody across Dominica, I urge you to visit the Ministry of Housing, because I give you my word, we will upgrade you with modern restrooms right away, Mr. Speaker. Our citizens are eager to purchase properties and to construct buildings. Young professionals, they want to buy because they want to build. Earlier this year, the Ministry of Housing advertised prime land owned by government, which is now for sale at competitive prices. We are in the process of cutting lots in the Jimit area. And I must say that with the new housing lots currently being subdivided in the Jimit, we have received considerable interest. I don't know how we are going to go through the task of choosing 37 applications from a list of over 400 applicants, Mr. Speaker. And these are people who are qualified, who have the financial backing to purchase the land. Our road and drainage works have also begun in Warner. We have further projects at Hillsborough Gardens in St. Joseph, Cotton Hill, Casabruce, and we are offering lots for sale at great prices, Mr. Speaker, in Platma Pier, Kenfield East, Grand Bay. We have a few pocket areas in Georgetown, Portsmouth, Lily Valley, Belvirol, Stock Farm, and Emsall. Young people, build what you can afford. Think of your future and invest in yourself. A house and land are the greatest assets that you can own, and your government is here to support you in this endeavor. In our efforts to provide the lots for sale to public officers and young professionals, we have achieved commendable success. We have allocated so far 50 lots during this period. And initiatives like the Nursing the Dream and the Landlocks program, we're offering favorable rates and conditions for mortgages and budget packages. To empower our people, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development has established strategic partnerships with the National Bank of Dominica and the National Cooperative Credit Union to facilitate government land sale program and to introduce customized financial agreements to stimulate more homeownership. Mr. Speaker, this partnership aims to provide financial packages to public servants, young professionals, and the Dominica diaspora as well, to support residential and commercial construction on crown lands offered at concessionary rates. So starting next month, you will see promotions at an attractive offer. It's going to be like a one-stop shop. We want it to be easy, where the stress and the challenges of building a home within a tight budget are completely eliminated. So I have met with the financial institutions, NCCU and NBD, and pre-negotiated a low mortgage rate specifically for this program. And it's an easy three-step process. All you need to do, you select your land for construction, you choose from the available designs that we have, 2 and 3 bedrooms, and then you opt for a mortgage with any of the financial institutions that we have pre-negotiated the low rate. This is no stress, no hassle, no headache dealing with contractors. You simply observe your new resilient modern home being built, and within a few months, you'll receive your keys to a brand new property. Mr. Speaker, that is what we call a super sweet deal. And I also want to challenge the private sector companies to provide furnishings, sofa sets, and cabinets, because the banks have always also got them to agree to include interior furnishings at the same low deal. And so with the National NBD of Dominica, we've been able to negotiate a lower rate, which is much lower than mortgages across Dominica, a low rate of 4.5%, Mr. Speaker, the lowest you will find ever, with terms of up to 30 years, and commercial loans and interest rates from 5 to 8% with 15 years. And similarly, the NCCU offer low rates as well, and a low mortgage rate of 5% with repayment terms of a little longer, 35 years. Another super sweet deal, Mr. Speaker. These two programs will be launched in the coming weeks. Anybody interested? I say seize this opportunity, jump on it, buy to build. I don't know if you'll ever be able to get another opportunity like this. This is your sole chance to invest in your home at a remarkably low construction cost and mortgage rate. Also, it has the potential to become future investment as a rental property or an Airbnb, Mr. Speaker. I'm also pleased to announce more milestones in the Ministry of Housing, Mr. Speaker, that we just recently broke ground on the construction of the future housing in Warner. Mr. Speaker, this project will redefine luxury living in Dominica. Because these homes are not just structures, they represent a revolutionary approach to home ownership. We're ensuring that our hard-working young professionals can simply drive up to their homes, unlock their door, and step into their modern space that they can call their home, a dream fulfilled without the stress of construction. As we embark on development in Cotton Hill, imagine owning the privilege of owning a high-end property within a leisurely stroll of the marina coming and the prestigious Intercontinental Cabaret. Truly a lifestyle second to none. Diasporans, if you're hearing me, I'm speaking to you. Many of you contacted me, you want to come home. Here is your opportunity to invest. They have the money. This subdivision will not only provide exquisite living spaces, but also catalyze economic growth, aligning perfectly with our marina to come and the bustling businesses that is soon going to grace the area. To support all these new initiatives, Mr. Speaker, we are seeking to engage more of our small contractors, our tradesmen, and our artisans to ensure that they have the support needed to contribute to our resilient goals. And so we recently introduced in the Ministry of Housing website. If you log on there, you will see our newly established database of contractors who have collaborated with the ministry and the wider government. This database allows users to search for contractors across Dominica and skilled tradesmen across Dominica by geographic area and their area of expertise. Additionally, it offers for new opportunities for registrations. Because the fact is, Mr. Speaker, sometimes diasporans want to do things here, but it's almost like you have to know somebody who knows a plumber, or you have to have direct contact with an electrician. But if you come to this directory, it's a valuable resource. We have listings of architects, engineers, builders, electricians, plumbers, tilers, carpenters, joiners, painters, landscapers. We included interior designers as well, blind installers, window cleaners, handymen, and upholsterers across Dominica. Easy access. Mr. Speaker, a platform for contractors to showcase their services and reach even a broader audience. We have done the groundwork by providing the links to access these tradesmen and professionals in every community in Dominica. Mr. Speaker, as the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, I lend my support to address a crucial issue that affects many Dominicans: the need to update our Tenancies and Rent Control Act. Because in the little time that I've been in this ministry, I've seen too many cases where tenants end up paying excessive amounts for poor quality housing simply because they don't know their rights. Or maybe they feel powerless to challenge exploitative practices. Mr. Speaker, there are people paying rent in Dominica in places with no electricity, failed plumbing, no toilet. They're sleeping on their bed, it's raining, water is dripping on their head. Missing windows, their front door cannot lock, cannot close properly. The kitchen have termites, and they're paying rent for these conditions. Mr. Speaker, something has to be done. Because if you are paying a landlord for a place to stay, it's a basic safe housing accommodation must be provided. But, we have some good landlords, of course. I would like to commend the many good landlords across Dominica who keep their place clean and ensure that the basic provisions are made for proper human living. But this update to our laws is essential to ensuring that our rental market is fair and transparent, where everyone will get a better deal. And so we are concerned about some of the shortcomings of this legislation, because there's a maximum rent of $800 that the law applies to. So if you're renting a place for $810, that means the law doesn't apply to you. It's not fair, Mr. Speaker. So we are asking that we cover all rental properties to ensure better living for our people. Within the last year, the Rent Office brought 80 cases to the Magistrate Court for issues of rent recovery, rent possession, and rent increases. These numbers highlight the pressing need for stronger protection and clearer regulations. Our commitment is to modernize our housing laws to better reflect the needs and the realities of today's society. Our goal is to guarantee everyone access to fair and affordable housing. So the re-establishment of the Tenancy and Rent Commission will play a pivotal role in this process. And so I encourage everyone who has rental issues to come to the Rent Control Desk at the Housing Division. Your feedback is crucial in helping us to make the right changes towards a rental market where fairness is guaranteed. Mr. Speaker, as we reflect on the last financial year, I am proud to highlight that our ministry plays a critical role in driving forward the dynamic Dominica. As a custodian of state lands, we have been instrumental in facilitating critical and successful acquisitions for our major projects across Dominica, like our international airport, our cable car, and our geothermal. And our international airport in particular holds profound implications for our ministry's urban development portfolio, promising enhanced quality of life, improved living conditions, and increased economic opportunities that will no doubt lead to population spillover effects. Over 500 acres have been acquired for the International Airport Development Project in Wesley. And I heard the opposition member for the Marigot constituency question our interest and desire to compensate affected property owners. but I want to clear the air. In fact, I want to educate him where this is concerned. Our biggest hurdle is the compensation process and the proof of ownership, which is required by the law. The certification of titles being the most recognized form of ownership documentation. So this process can be lengthy and complex. And the state cannot make payments to individuals who may have an interest in the property without the proper legal documentation. As doing so, we will expose the state to liability if another party were to come forward with a valid claim. Notwithstanding this, I am pleased to report, and he knows this already, that our investments in land and agricultural compensation, in total, we have paid private landowners for their acquired properties and crops well over $11 million, Mr. Speaker. And so I encourage our diasporans again and our potential investors to seize the business opportunities that are arising from the anticipated, heard the Minister of Finance state that we expect 500,000 annual airport arrival. This is marking a new era of growth, Mr. Speaker. I want to encourage people to invest in small franchise eateries, some things that are not in Dominica yet, like Auntie Anne's and Cinnabon and Starbucks, as well as exploring opportunities for duty-free shopping in the area, Airbnb rental, agricultural tourism, mini-marts, and different sorts of entertainment, Mr. Speaker. And if they're looking for land, they can come to the Ministry of Housing because we offer prime land for sale near the international airport. The opportunities are before you. And in no way, member of Marigot, am I stating that this is an opportunity for you to invest in stimulating enterprises, but there are many other wholesome opportunities to explore. In the next year, we'll revise the land use plan for the Northeast area and take advantage of the benefits of the new international airport. So I say to the people of Marigot, Wesley, and Woodford Hill, and Kalibishi, we promise you a brighter future. I hold close to me, Mr. Speaker, the Labour Party manifesto of 2019. I always like to make my little to-do list, and I want to track the promises that I made to the people of Dominica, marking my check boxes as I fulfill programs, even adding more to the list. And I'm proud to say that every ministry and every government program has made an impact on the Roseau Central constituency. So I want to thank my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, here today. With the commencement of the Roseau Enhancement Project this year, we are nearing the fulfillment on all our promises. In fact, I have found myself expanding as our progress continues. As you may know, recently, through my collaboration with the Dominica Olympic Committee and Pan Am Sports, we started the rehabilitation of the former Dominica Club, expanding sports and recreational activities. We are refurbishing the tennis courts. We will bring back squash and badminton to this area. We will also introduce a new sport called pickleball, and there will also be a rollerblading ring. This also allows for extra spin-off extreme sports like skateboarding and even bicycle stunts. I think this new and exciting development will become a new hotspot giving promenade competition, Mr. Speaker. We're catering to both locals and cruise ship passengers. And I would like to appeal to the agro-processors to make products readily available, as there will be a strictly local section to specifically target our tourists. It will encompass an area. This area will be a fusion of our sports, our culture, and entertainment. Mr. Speaker, our teenagers in Dominica are looking for good, wholesome fun. And so this will be a place where families and teenagers can gather to rollerblade, and even tourists rollerblade to our bouillon music. They can watch an exciting game of tennis and sipping on freshly squeezed cane juice, which we're going to bring back to the city. This development will boost our local tourism and stimulate economic activities, contributing to a vibrant and thriving Roseau. While our big ticket project in the city, the Rosa Enhancement Project, is nearing the start line of the next phase, we remain resolute that once this revolutionary aspect begins, transformation will unfold. And I have been working alongside the Financial Secretary and a subcommittee of expert individuals in preparation for the launch of this program. And it may be one, in fact it is,
15 more minutes.
10.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Minister of Housing be given an additional 10 minutes to complete her presentation.
It has been moved and seconded that the Honorable Skerrit be given an additional 10 minutes. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Honorable Skerrit, you are given an additional 10 minutes.
So as I was saying, the Rosa Enhancement Project, it may be more than the most complicated projects. Revamping an old city is something which has never been done in the other Caribbean islands. But nevertheless, we are on track to appoint a community liaison officer and assemble a team of highly skilled professionals. And we will be gearing up to engage all the stakeholders, including our residents, our business owners, and the vendors. Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, we forge ahead, tapping into international organizations like UN Women. Earlier this year, we successfully tapped into one of the SDGs, 11 Sustainable Cities and Communities, by pitching the idea of a Go Green bus store which would transport shoppers to women-owned business. This also aligns with our march towards climate resiliency as we make an appeal to establish the first Go Green bus, the first ever sustainable public transportation for climate change. And so we were able to successfully launch the Shipreneur Hop On Hop Off tour in Roseau and Portsmouth, which provided a platform for over 20 women-owned businesses to generate revenue for their local products and different experiences. And since doing this, Mr. Speaker, positive reviews and word-of-mouth referrals have established this as a reputable brand. As a matter of fact, as a result of this initiative, 3 of the women entrepreneurs, Très Chic, Eclat Nova Luxuries, and a female Kalinago artisan were selected by UN Women to participate in the International Seeds Conference in Antigua. Mr. Speaker, this opened new markets for these small businesses to sell their products for the first time on a regional level. At the constituency level, we conducted a productive hydroponic farming training session. We received technical assistance from the Chinese Agricultural Technical Mission by providing training to about 50 individuals. We are promoting backyard gardening and modern farming methods in urban spaces, because I believe it is one of the best ways to reduce the grocery bill, to grow and consume your own produce. And while the escalating food prices pose a worldwide issue, living on a tropical island with fertile soil gives us significant advantage. And for this reason, this is why I've been advocating for urban farming among my constituents. Utilizing modern techniques, they can cultivate now potatoes on their balcony, herbs on the walls of the alleyways. They can grow peas and teas on their newly constructed concrete roofs. Therefore, all new homes that we are building will include space for gardening. And so this is how we're urging individuals to plant in their backyards and consume what they grow and share any surplus with their neighbors. Small but impactful infrastructure projects have improved the quality of life for my constituents. This includes the rehabilitation of the Virgin Lane sidewalk. We had a River Street Kudme sidewalk project and an ongoing cobblestone sidewalk project on Cross Street headed by the Roseau City Council, promoting safety and enhancing the beauty and cultural heritage of our city. Earlier this year, I was joined by some powerful women like Dr. Tekla Lewis. And together with a few other powerful women, Natalie Joseph, Dr. Robinson, Dr. Addis King, Dr. Paquette, and Sam, together we tackle critical issues in the area of physical health, mental health, financial management, relationships, and everyday women's issues by hosting 5 successful women's symposiums. Mr. Speaker, this impacted over 800 women from every nook and cranny in Dominica. It wasn't just in Roseau. Every constituency was part of this. The feedback was centered around healing, self-reflection, making sound financial decisions, and driving positive change in our lives. And I must say that there continues to be a demand for this to become an annual project on our agenda. You know, the women, they are even asking for men's symposiums. My member for Maho, I've been nudging him on this, to lead on this. They're asking for symposium for married couples. They're asking for symposium for teenagers, Mr. Speaker. A seed has been sown, and now the roots are starting to grow. And as a result of this, actually, several small women support groups have emerged locally as empowered women are offering support to others in their villages. We've also garnered regional interest. Leading organizations and individuals have been reaching out to us. Moving ahead, Mr. Speaker, in Roseau Central, our Christmas village was a resounding success last year with over 50 small businesses. And the town of Portsmouth this time also adopted the concept and implemented it for the first time. This year, I am calling on the local businesses to join forces with me and let us light up the botanical gardens. Every business pick a tree, decorate it and light it up. So when you drive through the gardens, you're driving through a wonderland of lights. But Mr. Speaker, I attest to the numerous social programs that my constituents derive benefits from. There's so many programs, Mr. Speaker. Of course, we have the Yes to Care, the National Employment Program, our uniform and textbook program, our education support, our scholarships. I am also currently preparing for my annual Adopt a Child Back to School program, where hundreds of children receive school bags and school supplies. Additionally, this year, I continued with my programs for single mothers, the elderly, hurricane preparedness, and a soup kitchen, Mr. Speaker, something I saw you doing in the constituency of Roseau North. So yes, I copied you. I would like to extend my gratitude to the Chinese government for their generous donation of 243,000 to assist in hurricane preparedness, Mr. Speaker. This year, I have more programs. Mr. Speaker, my elderly personal assistants, I have people who are checking my elderly in Roseau, running their errands for them, paying their bills, doing their groceries for them. We have social activities that have become annual now, our Easter egg hunt, Mother's Day, Father's Day, our social events. My LYO is now planning a retreat. I have my summer camp. I have National Assessment Champions class. I have Free Women Symposium. I just spoke about it. I have Pudme in the city. And Mr. Speaker, that is why, you see all those things I do in there? That is why the opposition forces want to target me so heavy. Because they hate what I do in. They hate that I do so much. Imagine 2 members, not the one sitting there, but 2 members of the opposition forces, but they're from the same cabal. You understand? They wanted to strike a deal with me. They tell me, stop what you're doing in Roseau, and if you stop what you're doing in Roseau, we'll stop making up stories on you. They will stop the lies and the fake stories and the dirty politics and the propaganda. They want me to stop. They want me to do nothing, Mr. Speaker. I tell them, go ahead, run your mouth and run your show. Because there's nothing they can do to break me, Mr. Speaker. And I tell them, while they're at it, make sure they take their pressure pills because I have plenty more goodies to come. I'm not going to live in fear, Mr. Speaker. And nothing is going to stop me from helping the people of Dominica. Look at Vado, well positioned there. The only constituent sitting upstairs, here to support a pal rep in Roseau. When she's walking, we call her in Roseau a walking billboard because she dressed from red from head to toe, Mr. Speaker. She stood with me in my every day. She campaigning for me in Roseau, and you want me to disappoint my stalwarts like that? The people who stood with me in rain and sun and shine, the people who toiled with me in the campaign, they want me to break my promises? That shall never be, Mr. Speaker. So let them talk, because I will make sure that the promises that I make is my promises that have been kept. But you know what? I leave them in the hands of God, because the Bible says that false witness will not go unpunished, and he who speaks lies shall perish. And including all of those who are funding them behind the scenes, Mr. Speaker, because I shall not be moved, and I shall never stop getting under their skin. One should note, Mr. Speaker, that because most national activities are hosted in Roseau, most of our children don't visit other areas. I launched my Roseau Central summer camp. We embraced I Am Dominica. And so, Mr. Speaker, we wanted them to learn their culture a little bit more, because they don't get to leave the city mostly. They don't go to the Kalinago territory and the north and the different areas. And this is for this reason we organize activities such as Kalinago Day, and we have the Chinese Day at the embassy. They learn different languages and arts, and crafts, cuisine, traditions from every culture. We had field trips. We have a digital component where they're making their little TikToks actually to advertise that I am Dominica. And as a result of this success, the cultural exchange will evolve into an annual event, because the Chinese ambassador already gave his commitment, and Her Excellency the President, who also hosted us at the State House for Kalinago Day. Mr. Speaker, I hope that this continues, that we can continue, and that every child or different children from across Dominica can immerse themselves in the complete cultures, not just our Kalinago culture, but other resident cultures in Dominica, like the Chinese, the Cubans, Haitians, Venezuelans, during the summertime. I want to give a special shout out, Mr. Speaker, to Ms. Sonia Felix and her team, whose dedication to maintaining the cleanliness of our city. She goes above and beyond. She's working on her days off. And if you have an event in Roseau taking place, she'll make sure the following morning, when you step foot in that city, you walk in a pristine city the following morning. But recognizing the challenges that we face with garbage collection, I have been collaborating with a private benefactor to procure 2 new garbage trucks for garbage collection in the city. But I'm also appealing to business owners to comply with the rules and guidance of relevant authorities and keep in order within the city. The police also have been steadfast in removing derelict vehicles from the city streets. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Ministry of Tourism for resounding success with Bike Festival. And I have to commend them, because my constituents benefited greatly from this event. I want to commend my constituents Denzel Augustine and Timmy Garaway for this brilliant idea, for seeing it through, and for helping us, more importantly, as the underlying message was to encourage bike safety among our local riders. As a matter of fact, because of this success, they're actually forging ahead with their bike store by offering full protective gear for both men and women to push bike safety in Dominica. So, Mr. Speaker, when hundreds of bikers and two-wheel enthusiasts gathered on the promenade, and all my bar owners went home smiling that night, and the following day at the Kenfield Airport for an exciting afternoon of impressive ride-outs and stunts, anyone can see the bigger picture. We recently heard the president express her concern about our young men and our gangs, and that they need to get involved in more positive engagements. And this is exactly what Bike Festival did. Mr. Speaker, on that weekend, all blocks in Roseau and across Dominica were deserted. I am grateful to God that as we help these young men to respect the power of these bikes and enforce the importance of wearing helmets and complete safety gear, there were no incidents. And this is the essence of our efforts. Let's support our young men in honing their skills and their hobbies by participating in sport and engaging in constructive activities. Because why should society neglect or look down on a man on the block who may be searching for his rightful place in society? The most effective way to bring out the best in anyone is to show them love. And that is why this government, no one is left behind, Mr. Speaker. All shall eat. On that note, I join forces with my colleague from the Soufriere constituency in recommending to the Prime Minister, who is not here today, but I'm sure he's listening, that bike festival be placed as a permanent fixture on our annual calendar. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, let us remember the importance of progress, resilience, and compassion. Our vision is clear. We are building a stronger and more resilient and inclusive economy for all. Let's unite in our dedication to provide secure housing and driving innovation for a better future. Our dynamic Dominica is unfolding, and we invite every Dominican to participate in our bright and prosperous future. Before I close off, Mr. Speaker, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to my dedicated staff at the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, one of the best permanent secretaries, Dr. Kira Paul. I want to thank you, as well as my department heads, the men behind the pillars of the Ministry of Housing, Mr. Marcus Lestrade, Imran Coffey, Bernard Lloyd, Naomi Dorrivel, Glenroy Mason, Mr. Samuel Augustine. These individuals are the pillars of my ministry, and I express my deep appreciation for their efforts in ensuring a smooth operation of our mission in our ministry. I also want to express gratitude to my staff at the constituency office, my zone leaders, my constituency association, my women's organization, my LYO for their consistent support and assistance in carrying out our programs. And a special thank you to the wonderful constituents of Roseau Central for your prayers and your unwavering support. I value your backing and assure you of my steadfast dedication to you, your children, and your grandchildren. So big up to Roseau Central. And you know they have asked me to say to the Electoral Commission to bring it on because they are ready for electoral reform, Mr. Speaker. Long live Labour in Roseau Central. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.